Today I'm going over the top 10 most horrible, most garbage, worst rods in all of Roblox Fish. I'm talking about rods that are absolutely garbage to the point where they should either be buffed or completely removed from Roblox Fish. That's how bad these rods are. Anyways, if you agree with my list, subscribe. Let's get right into it. Okay, so number 10 is actually a very interesting one. I am talking about the magnet rod. All right, first of all, just a look at its stats. They are almost all zeros, and lure speed is actually negative. But the only thing that kind of sucks about the magnet rod, and is why I personally want it to actually be buffed or them to add like a better version of it, but the magnet rod's actually pretty useful. Dude, if you're ever trying to catch any sort of crate, any sort of like item that isn't a fish in the water, the magnet rod does really, really good for that. But the stats are so horrible that I would never use this rod no matter what. They need to either make a better version of the magnet rod, or please buff it or make it more expensive. I don't care. You just have to make this rod at least a little bit better so we can use it to like grind for crates or something at least. And speaking about something, this rod does a special something, and that something is turn fish into gold. I am talking about the Midas rod. With a lure speed of 60, it doesn't seem horrible, but it has negative 20% resilience and only a 40,000, not 40,000, I wish it was 40,000, but a 4,000 max kilogram limit. I am talking about the Midas rod. This rod's really cool because it made me catch this one fish right here, the big Midas Mosasaurus. This is one of the coolest fish in the entire game, and you can basically get it if you get the Midas rod with Herculean. But I've literally never used it on this account. I got that on my other account, and then I just gave it to this account. But basically, the Midas rod is trash because if you don't have Herculean on it, you can't catch any cool golden fish, and it'll be hard to catch it even if you have Herculean because the resilience is so absolutely menacingly garbage. Fish, you've got about two options, all right? And if you don't do these two options, I'm coming to your house, and you know what? I'm gonna okay, listen, all right? You need either a better version of the Midas rod. We could make a better, more expensive one and have it have better stats so we could still catch Midas fish, or just make this rod actually worth its price. It literally costs like 50,000. That is not worth it. And speaking about rods that cost 50,000 and are completely not worth it, the next one costs 55,000. I'm talking about the mythical rod with a lure speed of 0, 45 luck, 0.05 control, 0 resilience, and only a 2,000 max kg. This is one of the only rods that you can actually catch mythical and rainbow fish with, and it's really bad. I mean, with a 0% resilience and a max kg of 2,000, once again, I think this rod should suffer the same fate as the Midas rod should, and either have an upgraded version or just get buffed and made more expensive, because hey, I want to catch mythical fish. I want to catch rainbow fish. I can't because this rod is garbage. And speaking about garbage rods, number 7 is a rod that actually is pretty useful, kind of garbage. I'm talking about the Voyager rod. This is one of the best rods that you can use to catch items with the fossilized enchant. And if you didn't know, well, I actually don't have any right now, but the fossilized enchant is one of the runs that you need to get the rod of the Eternal King and get the rod of the Exalted One. But yeah, this rod isn't good. 0 control, horrifying. 10% resilience, horrifying. I guess it has max kg, but it's like, can we please give it at least a control nerf so it can catch enchant relics easier? I mean, me personally, the Voyager rod is absolutely garbage and needs a buff. That's the only thing I can say about it. The price is fine. It's just not worth the price or the materials it takes to craft it. And speaking about crafting, this next rod actually doesn't require crafting. You have to buy it during an Aurora Borealis in the, what's it called? The Vertigo, all right? I'm talking about the Aurora rod with a lure speed of 10, luck 60%, 0.06 control, that's horrifying, 6% resilience, and a max kilogram limit of 6,000. This rod is kind of horrible, but I love it because once again, just like the Midas rod and the mythical rod, and as you guys can see, the Midas rod's actually selling here for 55,000. Only buy it if you're rich. Anyways, Aurora rod, once again, it's one of the rods that you have a 15% chance to get a super cool mutation in the Aurora mutation, but since the rod is just so trash, it's just not worth it to use. So once again, either please make an upgraded version or remove this freaking rod and the mutation for the game so I don't feel like I need to have it. And speaking about things you need to have, literally nobody in the game needs to have this rod, because for 300,000, it is the worst priced rod in the entire game. I'm talking about the summit rod with a 15% lure speed. Oh my gosh. 75% lux, 0.25 control, 15% resilience, and a 200,000 max kilogram limit. The summit rod is one of the worst rods that you can actually buy for 300,000. And if you guys didn't know, there's another rod that is actually super good, yet you can also buy for 300,000, the volcanic rod, which is absolutely overpowered right now and can catch any fish in the game with its infinite max kilogram limit. Yeah, the summit rod needs to please be buffed, especially since it's honestly harder to get than the volcano rod, because you have to climb up further in the northern expedition. Fish, please buff this or remove it for the game. It's honestly a useless rod. Like the freaking ice warper rod, all the other rods are better than this trash garbage summit rod. So yeah, please buff it. And speaking about buffs, this one it doesn't need a luck buff, I'll tell you that, because it is the best luck rod in the entire game. I'm talking about the destiny rod. And if you didn't know, to get this rod you actually have to complete 70% of the bestiary. So you have to catch like 70% of every single fish in the entire game to even have a chance at getting the destiny rod for a overpriced price of 190,000 credits. You can buy the highest luck rod in the game with a 0 control, 0% resilience, 10,000 only max kilogram limit, and a -10 lure speed. That is absolutely downright horrifyingly horrible. And for anyone who uses the destiny rod, don't use it, brother. Just get the heavens rod. I get it's like 10 times the price, but it's still worth it compared to the trash destiny's rod. Please, all right, make the destiny rod like a little bit worse version of the heavens rod. That's what it should be, since it is a hard rod to get. Please buff the destiny rod or remove it for the game. Like, it's so bad. Or you can literally, I wouldn't care if you increase the price to 500k but actually made it a good rod. Like, I get it's the highest luck rod in the game, but it's completely useless, because even if you get on a rare fish, what are you going to be able to catch? Nothing. It has 0 resilience. And speaking about 0 resilience, our number 3 rod of the entire video is called the King's Rod, and it actually doesn't have 0 resilience. It has 35% resilience. Really good infinite kilogram limit, 0.15 control, 55% luck, but a lure speed of -45, which is my problem with the King's Rod. All right, first off, it is an OG rod, and this rod costs, I think, 110,000. It's pretty expensive, and it's good. Yes, it can technically catch any fish, but the fact that the lure speed of the rod is so slow makes it completely unusable, especially when there's literally rods like the Depth Seeker rod, like the Champion's rod, that are cheaper and way better than the King's Rod. So fish, please do what's right and please buff this OG rod. Like, we need a buff to this, all right? All my OG fish players know that this rod used to actually be good, but now it's absolutely horrible, along with the next rod. The number 2 rod that is the worst in the entire game, me personally, I think, is the Trident rod, okay? Yes, it is usable. Yes, it's a usable rod. No, it's not completely horrible, but it's horrible for its price and how hard it is to get. If you didn't know, to get the Trident rod, you have to complete the entire Desolate Deep bestiary. Then you need 5 enchant relics, which is really hard to get at the time when you would actually get the Trident rod. And along with all that, you need to pay a very overpriced fee of 150,000 credits. Once again, more than the Depth Seeker rod, more than the Champion's rod, which are really good rods that are way better than the Trident rod and way better than the King's Rod. It's a little bit annoying. So fish, once again, please do what's right and please buff it. All right, do not remove this rod from the game, because I love this rod with all of my heart. But yeah, buff it, please. And speaking about things you gotta buff, the number one rod that I think is the worst rod in the entire game right now is the Arctic rod. All right, the Arctic rod is absolutely garbage after it's nerfed. It got nerfed. Probably the worst, most iconic nerf in Fish history was the Arctic rod. It used to be good, but now it is a 25% lure speed, 45% luck, 0.06 control, 15% resilience, and 7,500 max kilogram limit. Once again, Depth Seeker rod, yes, it costs more, so much better. Champions rod, yes, it costs more, so much better. The Arctic rod is officially useless. I do not recommend for anyone to get this rod, especially for beginner players, when there is so many more rods that are way better for a similar price. Anyways, that was my list of the top 10 worst rods in Fish history. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and subscribe if you like this video. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace!